guys, so as promised, I'm going to try to film a second video today while I have free time. So what I wanted to do today, just for the heck of it, is we're going to take a look at my wrestling action figure collection. I got back into watching pro wrestling when the lockdown started, because really there weren't any live sports there for a good few months, and I'd seen ads for the AEW TV show, so started watching that, and I was I think like most people my age, I was an avid WWE, WCW watcher during the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars. And then I went to college and, basically stopped watching once I left for school, because the Attitude Era was trailing off and they were getting into, I guess what they call the ruthless aggression era with like John Cena and stuff, and they didn't really, start getting a little, I guess, aimed towards younger groups. So, started coming back to it during the pandemic. I even got the WWE Network for a while before it switched over to Peacock. So I was watching some of those matches and pay-per-views since it was free on there. And I started watching the Monday Night Nitro from the beginning, just because that was the era in the show that I most wanted to revisit. So that, of course, led to a bit of collecting with the figures and things like that. And honestly, some of these I've had, and I even have a few figures in storage. Like, I know I have a Kane and an Undertaker mint on card, and a Triple H and Ultimate Warrior mint on card in my storage unit, from just random purchases at the store. But these are figures that I've picked up just more recently, the last year or so, since I've been, probably a year and a half, since I've been watching AEW and kind of gotten back into the spirit of watching. So, no particular order, and a lot of these are like just basic figures. So, this first one is just the basic Undertaker. The Undertaker I have mint on card is the biker gang Undertaker. So he's a little bit different. I did want a classic dead man Undertaker. So and I mean I'll give it to WWE. The basic figures have like zero articulation really. They're just it's that thigh articulation where they can just kick straight forward, and that's it. But I mean, at least the figures look like the talent. So I mean, this one looks like kind of Ministry of Darkness era Undertaker, so that's Undertaker. Like I said, the basic figs aren't too exciting because they don't really move, but sometimes that's all you really want, is just a $10 figure, right? This next one is Razor Ramon. Scott Hall. I was a huge Razor Ramon fan back in the day, and then when they went to WCW, that was exciting, so picked him up, and they got his face spot on. He's got he looks like he should have a toothpick in his mouth. So picked him up again. I think it's one of the basic figures because he doesn't have any real hip articulation. It's all just a standard kick, but I mean it looks just like him, so that's all I was really going for at the time. This one is one of my favorite talents, obviously, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I like the outfit okay. His face sculpt is very, I don't know. He looks to me like he's jovially smiling. It's not the best face sculpt. I mean, if it didn't say Dallas 316 on his shirt, you might not know that that's Stone Cold, quite honestly. I've seen some of the elite action figures where they have 10 different head sculpts and the clothes, and they have a Stone Cold one where it's his regular black Speedo and the knee brace and stuff. I thought about picking that up, but as far as the WWE stuff, I just kind of want to maybe one character and one figure, I should say, of each character. I don't need a huge collection of every one, so this is my Stone Cold, at least for the time being. If I see that elite one at like a Walmart or something, I might pick it up. And then we had to have Hulk Hogan. As a child of the 80s and 90s, Hulk Hogan was where it was at for a while there. Pretty straightforward sculpt, He's got the sunglasses on, so they don't have to do too much to his face sculpt. And he's got the bandana, which honestly, he basically just didn't take off after a certain point, because he was so bald. But, this is my Hulk figure, and I like the thing. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's just, here's Hulk Hogan. I do kind of wish both hands were fists, because, the one open hand looks a little funny. But, I'd kind of put him into a muscle pose here, and that's how I have him on display. Most of these right now are on my at-home work desk. So I just have a whole bunch of wrestling figures kind of standing around the desk. This one was a recent pickup that I got in a battle pack. This is Paul White. When he first came on the scene in WCW, he was the Giant, and he was, they purported him to be Andre the Giant's son. Of course, he's not. But when he first came into WCW, that was his gimmick. He was basically a new Andre the Giant, complete with the unitard. And I'll say this, the face is, it's pretty spot on. It looks kind of like Paul White does now, but with hair. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did a 3D effects scan of his face before he left WWE, and then basically just put long hair on it. Because this looks like Paul White, like circa right now, if you watch him on WCW or on AEW. But yeah, it looks like they did a face scan and then gave him mutton chops and a big thing of long hair. But I bet you if you were able to take this hair off, he'd look like Paul White circa 2021. And then in that battle pack, it also came with Ric Flair, probably circa 1995, because that's when the Giant came into WCW. So, Rick is looking rather young compared to how he looks now. And he's got this kind of floppy haircut that he had for a while. But I picked up this battle pack really just for the Ric Flair figure. And I know with the recent, if you watch Dark Side of the Ring or listen to wrestling news, Rick has kind of got in trouble for some behavior back in the 80s and 90s. Mostly the 90s with the plane ride from hell, but I picked this up before then, and honestly, look, about everybody has skeletons in their closet almost. If you thought Nature Boy Ric Flair was a pure angel, I don't think you followed wrestling. The guy's been around the block. He's got, 7 kids, and not all of them with the same lady, so what are you expecting the guy to do? He's been basically partying hard since 70s, so, but, had to get a Ric Flair figure. And to go with the Ric Flair, I picked up on eBay, Arn Anderson. I love Arn. I don't know why, but just 70s and 80s, and he was still wrestling in WCW, in the 90s when I started watching. But I found this one on eBay for a good price because it was loose, and it doesn't really have any wear or tear on it. I like how they have his bald spot. If the camera will focus there. They've got his bald spot on the top of his head. True to life. I got a bald spot there too, so, more power to you, Arn. Good job. I picked up Arn after I got that Ric Flair one because I figured if I could put some of the horsemen together, might as well. So they're basically standing next to each other on my desk when I have them up. This one was a pretty recent purchase, and he's got articulation. I think this was one of the slightly higher end WWE figures. This is AJ Styles, which honestly I haven't seen a huge amount of his work because I never watched Impact, and I watched, like I said, I watched some WWE recently with the pandemic, but unfortunately they moved AJ to Raw, and I'm not willing to watch Raw. That's 3 hours, and from everything I see, it's horrible. I can tolerate parts of SmackDown, mostly Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman, but Raw is a whole nother deal. There's nobody on Raw right now who's gonna make me sit through that show, and even with SmackDown, when I do catch pieces of it, I'm just fast forwarding through most things and stopping on the parts that I want because a lot of it is just so juvenile. But AJ Styles is a phenomenal performer. He was on SmackDown until not too long ago, so I was able to watch some of his matches on there, and I just always liked the look. I don't know why. So I picked up this AJ Styles fig, and it's one of the better ones because it has hip articulation and stuff. The last basic fig, and this one I pulled out recently, is CM Punk, and this is WWE era CM Punk. And as I said, it's a basic fig, so he's got really limited articulation. Unfortunately, I can't even cross his hands, which kind of sucks. But classic CM Punk look. Younger face sculpt. He's got the mutton chops on there. I tried doing that look once, and it just didn't work out. He's got some of his tattoos, but not all of them. He's missing the Cobra insignia and the Pepsi symbol there. AEW is going to do a figure on him, I think, in an upcoming wave, and I'll probably pick that up just as an upgrade to this because I'm a big CM Punk fan. But this is what I have for now. So I have this on the desk just since he's come back to AEW, and the AEW figure looks great, and the articulation is 10 times better. So I'll be picking one of those up. Next, we have a figure I was excited about until I got it in hand. So this is Mick Foley Cactus Jack, and I think the outfit and the pose is great. He's got the bang bang, and he's got this the plaid vest that he would wear over his shirt, and even the hair is pretty on point, but his face is I don't know, that just looks like a fat guy to me. They have his teeth gap, but to me the face sculpt is not really. Here's Mick Foley on the shirt, and then you see the Mick Foley face sculpt. I don't think they got him. I think this hair on the front needs to be away from the face. He's got a pretty pronounced forehead and kind of little squirrely eyes. I don't think they got him. So, from afar, I think the figure looks cool. But when you really really get up close on it. I don't think it does Mick Foley justice. I've thought about getting a Mankind because I have a battle pack that has Steve Austin and Mankind, and I don't know, I thought about picking that up, but at the same time, that Steve Austin and the Mankind are basic figures, so they won't have any real leg articulation, so I don't know. Next we have the AEW figures. Since I started watching during the pandemic, AEW was my show of choice when it really came to keeping up. So this is the Series 1 Kenny Omega. I really like his ring attire, and they got the pointing bang bang. His face is okay. They've done a few Kenny Omegas since then where the face sculpt is a little better, and then his hair is just right now it's kind of right because he's begun dyeing his hair dark because right now he's a heel, but at the time he had almost like a dirty blonde look where he had the root showing, but he had kind of blonde in there, and the hair is just not right. So I actually thought about kind of adding some blonde highlights to his hair just to make it more spot on, but this is rubbery hair. I don't think paint would really work on there, so I left it be. See, another one that I picked up early on. This is Hangman Page, who was Kenny's tag team partner before Kenny went heel. I like this figure. He's got the ring attires on there. He's got his bandana around his neck. I've got the Hangman Adam Page on the back there. The hair is pretty good, and the face, he's doing a grimace face, but it's not off. One thing I've noticed with these figures, they're by Jazzwares, and they used to do some wrestling figures and the UFC figures, and I've noticed that they seem to to give these guys emotional faces. I think it's, to an extent, to get away from face sculpt authenticity, because I don't think they're doing True Effect scans of people's faces like the WWE figures. So I think they do these grimaces or weird faces just to, so that you don't notice the likeness that much. I had to pick up a Chris Jericho. He's a little dusty. There we go. His face sculpt, again, he's making this face. I think it does look pretty good. It looks like Chris Jericho. But, like I said, I do think the grimacing faces are a way to keep the likeness without being, without anybody calling foul on the likenesses. So he's got his black hat and his scarf and his gloves. Nowadays he rocks more of a leather jacket look, and they've done 50 freaking Chris Jericho figures. I'm not willing to pick up that many. One of the guys who does wrestling figure reviews, MD Toys, just had a video about how they're doing a 5th or 6th or 7th Chris Jericho figure in the new waves, and he was kind of just asking if people were okay with that. I'd rather they do other people, but hey, Next we have MJF. This is the initial MJF figure, I think Series 2, and he's got this cloth scarf, which I like. Really good ring attire. He's got his Lion King tattoo, and he came with this mic because MJF is a heel talker. I really like the articulation on these, and they got his smarmy face pretty spot on. So I out of all the faces for these characters or these figures, I think MJF is probably the most spot on as far as that goes. So, that was funny because I had MJF and Chris Jericho were together for a while, and so were Hangman and Kenny, and then they basically turned them against each other and had these groups dueling for a while. So, right now Kenny and Hangman are still after each other, and MJF and Chris Jericho just kind of finished their feud. But funny how I bought them initially as like tag team partners, and then both of them kind of had mirror storylines after that where they split up and started fighting. So they're just all together on my desk in one little AEW area. Next, and this is my most recent purchase, is the Lucha Brothers, and I got the initial, I think series 2 or 3 version. Recently they came out with a new version, which was really basically the same, but they're black and gold instead of black and white. But I had to get them. I've really liked the Lucha Brothers. If you watch like Vice, the channel that has Dark Side of the Ring, they had a show called The Wrestlers for a while, which you can find on like streaming, like on Hulu and things like that, or it might be on YouTube too. And in one of the episodes, it's like future wrestlers, and they meet the Lucha Brothers when they were down in Mexico, kind of wrestling across the border, and then they would come back and forth. They would drive across the border into like San Diego for shows, and then drive back. And these guys were working it up, trying to support their families, and it's just great to see them in AEW now with the tag team belts. Kind of living the dream. I do wish on this one that Rey Fenix had closed fist. He's got like 2 mic hands, which I don't know why. Rey Fenix isn't doing mic work that often. Like how they gave Penta his Zero Miedo, kind of hand sign there, and thankfully they're posable enough to where you can get him with his into the pose. So those are my most recent pickups. Happy about those. I put them into the area that I used to have Hulk Hogan and Cactus Jack, because I wanted them the newer figs. And then finally, and this was a somewhat recent purchase, this is a Mattel WWE Aleister Black figure. Recently he moved over to AEW, and he's now Malachi Black, and he had a great series of matches which just concluded with Cody Rhodes. And I picked this figure up. They had it on ringsidecollectibles.com, just a regular WWE figure, and I picked that up. And then recently, because I guess part of a WWE storyline that he's continued, he's been blacking out this right eye when he comes to the ring. So what I did was I just took if it focuses, had it for a second there, but he's been blacking out that one eye. So what I did was I took just a black marker and just blacked out that eye, so that he looked like, AEW Malachi. This is a great fig because it's got the articulation you want. He's got punching hands, which I like, and then the face sculpt is, one of those true scan Mattel ones, so, it's spot on. So I'm really happy about that one, and, I was really happy too that the blacking out the eye looked as good as it did. He's on my desk now, and looking at it, it's like, oh yeah, okay, that's Malachi Black because his eye's blacked out. So that's it for today, guys. I have a few that I picked up online coming, which I don't even know where I'm gonna put. Some of these are actually in a drawer. especially some of those basic figures, but I ordered recently a Kevin Owens, because I like Kevin Owens, and realistically it looks like he'll be in AEW anytime now. I ordered a Roman Reigns, because he's about the only good thing on WWE that I still pay attention to at all. And then, who was the third? Oh, and then I picked up a Andrade figure from WWE, because he just came to AEW and he's been doing some great matches with Pac. And they, since he's not in WWE anymore, those figures are kind of old and normally pretty cheap, so I picked those up. So those will be coming shortly. Maybe I'll do a video when those show up. But until then, guys, I hope you guys have a good one, and thank you very much.